welcome to worship. Before we begin, just a few announcements and reminders. The first is the Interfaith Neighbors Connecting Lenten service. The last one will be happening on Friday, March 31st at 6:30 at the Universalist Church in Orange. On Sunday, April 2nd, the diaconate will be meeting after the 10:15 worship service. Coming up, we would like to invite everybody to join us for some worship opportunities on Holy Week. The first is Maundy Thursday service on Thursday, April 6th at 4 o'clock in the church sanctuary. Following that, we will offer a simple supper of soup and bread for anyone who would like to stay and join us. On Easter Sunday, April 9th, we'll have 4 opportunities for worship. Our worship video will be uploaded on YouTube, the Facebook page, and on the church website. And also, we will have a sunrise service at 6:15 at our chapel in the field at Liz and Gary Waters' home at 80 Shinglebrook Lane in Orange. Again, that is at 6:15 a.m. at the Waters. At 9:15, we will have our drive-in worship at the Lawson Lot at 9:15 again, and that is our drive-in service, so you can come, drive in, you can stay in your car, or if the weather is nice and you would like, you can feel free to bring a chair and sit outside of your car. At 10:15, we will join for our more traditional worship service in our sanctuary. So again, there are 4 options for Easter morning worship: online at 6:15 at 80 Shinglebrook Lane in Orange, at 9:15 in the Lawson Lot, and 10:15 in our sanctuary. We would like to offer coffee fellowship following the 10:15 service on Easter Sunday, but we need someone to host. So if you are interested, please let me or a member of the diaconate know. On May 6th, the Spring Fling will be happening from 9 o'clock until 1 o'clock at the church. We'll have a plant and bake sale. Rada cutlery will be available. The cellar closet will be open. We have some tag sale tables, lots of raffle baskets. Lunch and snacks will be available for purchase, and the Friendly Town Sound will be playing. So we hope to see you there. If you would like to volunteer or are interested in getting a table for the tag sale, please let either myself or a member of the missions committee know. This week, we wish a very happy birthday to Kent Songer and Nathan Mitchell. This week, we are also celebrating Laureen Hall, Joel Bodie, and John Conkey. Thank you for all you do. Now, as we turn our minds and hearts to worship, let us consider these words. God says, I will put my spirit within you, and you shall live. Jesus says, I am the resurrection and the life. Jesus called, Lazarus, come forth. Jesus calls us still, come forth. So come, let us praise God. Our call to worship today is based on Psalm 104, verses 27 through 30. I invite you to respond with the words in bold type. God, when you provide food for us, we gather it up. When you hide your face from us, we are terrified. When you take away our last breath, we die and return to dust. When you send your spirit, we are created new, and all of earth is renewed. We will sing praise to you as long as we live. Our prayer today was written by Ted Loder and shared in his book, Gorillas of Grace. Let us pray. O God, gather me now to be with you as you are with me. Soothe my tiredness, quiet my fretfulness, curb my aimlessness, receive my compulsiveness. Let me be easy, if just for a moment. O Lord, release me from the fears and guilts which grip so tightly, from the expectations and opinions which I so tightly grip, that I may be open to receiving, to learn something refreshingly different. O God, gather me to be with you as you are with me. Forgive me for claiming so much for myself that I leave no room for gratitude, for confusing exercises in self-importance with acceptance of self-worth, for complaining so much of my burdens that I become a burden, for competing against others so insidiously that I stifle celebrating them and receiving your blessing through their gifts. O God, gather me to be with you as you are with me. Keep me in touch with myself, with my needs, my anxieties, my angers, my pains, my corruptions, that I may claim them as my own rather than blame them on someone else. O Lord, deepen my wounds into wisdom. Shape my weakness into compassion. Gentle my envy into enjoyment, my fear into trust, my guilt into honesty, my accusing finger into tender ones. O God, gather me to be with you as you are with me. We pray these things in the name of Jesus, who taught us to pray together, saying,
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
The scripture lesson today comes from the Gospel of John, chapter 11, verses 1 through 45. Now a certain man was ill, Lazarus of Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. Mary was the one who anointed the Lord with perfume and wiped his feet with her hair. Her brother Lazarus was ill, so the sisters sent a message to Jesus. Lord, he whom you love is ill. But when Jesus heard it, he said, this illness does not lead to death. Rather, it is for God's glory, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it. Accordingly, though Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus, after having heard that Lazarus was ill, he stayed 2 days longer in the place where he was. Then after this, he said to the disciples, let us go to Judea again. The disciples said to him, Rabbi, the Jews were just now trying to stone you, and you are going there again? Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours of daylight? Those who walk during the day do not stumble, because they see the light of this world. But those who walk at night stumble, because the light is not in them. After saying this, he told them, Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to awaken him." The disciple said to him, "Lord, if he has fallen asleep, he will be all right." Jesus, however, had been speaking about his death, but they thought that he was referring merely to sleep. Then Jesus told them plainly, "Lazarus is dead. For your sake, I am glad I was not there, so that you may believe. But let us go to him." Thomas, who was called the twin, said to his fellow disciples, "Let us also go, that we may die with him." When Jesus arrived, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Now Bethany was near Jerusalem, some 2 miles away, and many of the Jews who had come to Martha and Mary to console them about their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went and met with him. And while Mary stayed home, Martha said to Jesus, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that God will give you whatever you ask of him." Jesus said to her, "Your brother will rise again." Martha said to him, "I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day." Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?" She said to him, "Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one coming into the world." When she had said this, she went back and called her sister Mary and told her privately, "The teacher is here and is calling you." And when she heard it, she got up quickly and went to him. Now Jesus had not yet come to the village, but was still at the place where Martha had met him. The Jews who were with her in the house, consoling her, saw Mary get up quickly and go out. They followed her because they thought that she was going to the tomb to weep there. When Mary came where Jesus was and saw him, she knelt at his feet and said to him, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who came with her also weeping, he was greatly disturbed in spirit and deeply moved. He said, "Where have you laid him?" They said to him, "Lord, come and see." Jesus began to weep. So the Jews said, "See how he loved him." But some of them said, "Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying?" Then Jesus, again greatly disturbed, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone was lying against it. Jesus said, "Take away the stone." Martha, the sister of the dead man, said to him, "Lord, already there is a stench because he has been dead for 4 days." Jesus said to her, "Did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone. And Jesus looked upwards and said, "Father, I thank you for having heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I have said this for the sake of the crowd standing here, so that they may believe what you sent me." When he had said this, he cried with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out." The dead man came out, his hands and feet bound with strips of cloth, and his face wrapped in a cloth. Jesus said to them, "Unbind him and let him go." Many of the Jews, therefore, who had come with Mary, had seen what Jesus did, believed in him. Here ends our reading. May God add to our understanding of it. In the movie Bruce Almighty, Bruce Nolan, played by Jim Carrey, is a mildly respectable newsbeat reporter facing a midlife meltdown. In one afternoon, his whole world unravels. The anchor desk position he deserved goes to his haughty nemesis. He makes a fool of himself during a live, on-the-air news report and is fired. Nolan's car is vandalized, and when he attempts to save a vagrant from harassment, the gang turns on Nolan, giving him a beating. Nolan returns to his apartment and recounts the events of the day to his girlfriend, Grace, played by Jennifer Aniston. He is angry with his boss, his life, the injustice of the world, and most of all, Bruce is angry with God. After listening with concern, Grace gently responds, "Well, thank God you're all right." Nolan snorts, "God, yeah, thank God, shall we?" Dripping with bitterness and mock piety, he continues, "From whom blessings are rained upon me." Bruce, please don't do that. You know everything happens for a reason, Grace says. That I don't need. That is a cliche. That is not helpful to me. A bird in the hand's worth two in the bush. I have no bird, I have no bush. God has taken my bird and my bush. Incredulous, Grace says, "Oh, I see. So God's picking on you. Is that what you're saying?" "No, he's ignoring me completely. He's too busy giving Evan everything he wants." At this point, Bruce's dog, Sam, once again wets the rug. "Oh, that's great, Sam," Bruce says from across the room. "But you missed your target. I'm over here." Grace becomes irritated. "You know, it's enough, all right? Will you just stop being such a martyr?" "I'm not being a martyr. I'm a victim. God is a mean kid sitting on an anthill with a magnifying glass, and I'm the ant. God could have fixed my life in 5 minutes if he had wanted to, but he'd rather burn off my feelers and watch me squirm." I think we all know that feeling of being sure that God is out to get us. That feeling that Bruce had at the end of a tough day. The feeling that Martha had in the pit of her stomach when she went out to meet Jesus, saying, "Where were you? If you had been here, none of this would have happened." We know what it is to feel abandoned and that God could have done something to change our circumstances, but left us in the stench of death instead. Our scripture lesson this morning leaves us with many questions. Why didn't Jesus hurry to help his friends? Why didn't he keep Lazarus from dying? Why did Jesus raise Lazarus after he died? Of course, I don't know all of the answers, but what I think is that Jesus saw an opportunity to teach his disciples, his friends and witnesses to Lazarus' death and resurrection, a lesson about God's awesome power. I think the lesson Jesus taught is threefold and can be gleaned by looking at the 3 commands Jesus utters in this passage. First, Jesus says, "Roll away the stone." Let's set the scene here. Lazarus has died 4 days previously. His body had been prepared for burial and laid in a tomb, which was sealed with a large rock. The only thing that stood between the death of Lazarus and the life of Christ was that stone. And Jesus commanded that it be rolled away. At his command, bystanders rolled the stone away, unsealing the chamber of Lazarus' final resting place, allowing the stench of death to escape the tomb. In this command, I believe that Jesus is reminding us of the need to remove any obstacles between ourselves and Christ's saving power. There are times when we get bogged down in life, the stink of our decisions and circumstances heavy in the air, with large obstacles between us and God. But we are reminded in Paul's letter to the Romans that nothing can truly separate us from God. He writes, "Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? For I am sure that neither death nor life, nor angels nor principalities, nor things to come, nor things present, nor powers, nor height, nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God in Christ Jesus our Lord." So the first lesson we have to learn from this passage is the importance of removing those things that seem to come between us and God. The next command Jesus offers is given to Lazarus. Jesus says, "Lazarus, come out." And much to the surprise of the onlookers, Jesus came staggering out of the tomb. Once again, it's important for us to set the scene. Because Lazarus' body had been prepared for death, his feet and his hands would have been tied up in bandages. His face would have been wrapped up. The tomb would have been dark. In other words, the journey out of the tomb would not have been an easy one. But Lazarus followed Jesus' command and found his way out of the death-filled cave into the light of the living. In this command, we receive the reminder of how important it is for us to be proactive in our own lives. Jesus didn't go into the tomb, loosen the cords that bound up Lazarus, and lead him out of the tomb. Instead, Jesus called his name, and Lazarus responded, making his own way out of the tomb. In my favorite Christmas cartoon, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, the little animated mice sing a song called "Even a Miracle Needs a Hand." I think this is one of the things that Jesus was trying to teach the crowd that had gathered. He could have gone into that cave. He could have put Lazarus over his shoulder and carried him out of the cave. But Jesus insisted that Lazarus do something to help the miracle along. In his book, Studies in Theology, C.S. Lewis writes, "God seems to do nothing of himself, which he can possibly delegate to his creatures. God commands us to do slowly and blunderingly what he could do perfectly and in the twinkling of an eye." Jesus' third and final command in our lesson this morning is unbind him and let him go. Once Lazarus has come out of the cave, he needs help to loosen the cloths that have been wrapped around him. And Jesus commands the people around to do just that. It's been said that it takes a village to raise a child. In his command to unbind Lazarus, Jesus reminds us of the need to care for one another. There are things that we can do for ourselves, and there are things with which we need help. Jesus reminds us to do what we can to allow others to help us when necessary, and to help others when they are in need. In our passage this morning, we have 3 commands, and with them, we receive 3 reminders. Remove the obstacles, be proactive, and help others. To close this morning, I would like to share with you a story about a very interesting Easter service. The call to worship had just been pronounced, starting Easter Sunday morning service in an East Texas church. The choir started its processional singing "Up from the Grave He Arose" as they marched in perfect step down the center aisle to the front of the church. The last lady was wearing shoes with very slender heels. Without a thought for her fancy heels, she marched toward the grating that covered the hot air register in the middle of the aisle. Suddenly, the heel of one shoe sank into the hole in the register grate. In a flash, she realized her predicament. Not wishing to hold up the whole processional without missing a step, she simply slipped her foot out of her shoe and continued marching down the aisle. There wasn't a hitch. The processional moved with clock-like precision. The first man after her spotted the situation, and without losing a step, he reached down and pulled up her shoe. But the entire grate came with it. Surprised, but still singing, the man kept on going down the aisle, holding in his hand the grate with the shoe attached. Everything still moved like clockwork. Still in tune and still in step, the next man in line stepped into the open register and disappeared from sight. The service took on a special meaning that Sunday, for just as the choir ended with "Alleluia, Christ arose," a voice was heard under the church shouting, "I hope you all are out of the way, because I'm coming up now." The little girl closest to the aisle shouted, "Come on, Jesus, please stay out of the way." Like the people in worship on that Easter Sunday, there are times when we need to move the obstacles out of the way, shouting, "Come on, Jesus, please stay out of the way." There are times when we need to offer others a helping hand, even if that means rescuing their stuck shoes. And there are times when we need to take matters into our own hands, marching forward in response to Jesus' call. Let us pray. Loving God, we hear your call to us to come forward, to be in your presence, to come into the light of the living. So we ask that you help us to heed that call, to remove all obstacles, and to help others to heed your call as well. Amen. I hope everybody has a great week, and I hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. And now, in the power of the Holy Spirit, we go forth into the world to fulfill our calling as the people of God, the body of Christ. Amen.
Go, my children, with my blessing, never alone. Waking, sleeping, I am with you. You are my own. In my love's baptismal river, I have made you mine forever. Go, my children, with my blessing, you are my own. children I will